today. We can be the Labrador Hitman hunting dog. We can be the Labrador Hitman hunting dog. We can be the Labrador Hitman hunting dog.
Welcome to the Middle Seats Podcast. Why the middle seats? Because they're the best seats in the house. We are your hosts, Generation Offended and Toller Talks, and we're going to talk about some Fallout today. You ready, Toller?
Yeah, sounds like we're going to be maybe not at opposite ends, but I most certainly don't hate the show as much as you do. So,
Yeah, we are a bit of a disagreement here. I guess I should, before we get too far into it, I'll just say I'm like a New Vegas purist, so I'm going to be really annoying about the lore, and I'm sure a lot of people listening will probably get irritated if you like the show because I'm going to be like, this is not lore accurate." Um, but it was like one of the first things I got into in terms of fandom and like reading up on every wiki page, being obsessed with like the lore and stuff. So it has a real personal thing for me. I really like the show, or I really like the Fallout as a whole. The show doesn't do it for me, but we're gonna get into that.
well, for myself, I mean, I played my first Fallout game when I was, I think, 18. It was Fallout 3, 17 or 18. But I played all of them now at this point, even Tactics and all that, thanks to stuff like Game Pass. So, New Vegas is my favorite game as well, but I'm not as much of a purist. Matter of fact, Offended, I probably made fun of someone of the same caliber as you in a couple of my videos. Like I saw a whole discussion about Novak and how Dinky was facing the wrong way. And I'm like, holy shit, are we really doing this right now?
I mean, we're gonna. I'm not. I don't think I'm that bad. Like with the direction of like wherever there's certain compensations you have to give because they're trying to bring a game set to real life, and I think
Mhm.
to be fair to the show, the sets and the costume designs are all really well done. So whatever, like all the money going into that is well put, but we're going to talk about the writing and the characters. That's where
Well, let me
I'm
say
a
this,
little.
just go and get this out of the way. And I told you this when we were talking in Discord about it, about the fan base with Fallout. So, for the folks who aren't familiar with my channel, I've done quite a few lore related videos. Like I did, obviously with The Last of Us, Alien Earth, Gen V, pretty much anything that has some kind of nerdum attached to it. I know the events, I know the lore. I like to press it up against what we see in live action. Fallout is easily, bar none, not even close, the worst fan base I've ever seen in my life on YouTube. I've seen people say, "Oh, you're a tourist," because I don't agree with something they say, and then like in a single video, I had a person that said, "If you like this show, you're a Fallout tourist." And then a few comments down, "Oh, well, you don't like this show? Well, then you're a tourist." And it's like, what? I never once saw that word brought up in the tens of thousands of views that my stuff on The Last of Us got. Like, it's awful.
Yeah, I got attacked as well. I did a trailer breakdown for when the show came out a few months ago, and a lot of people were like, if you're not Oxhorn, then I'm not listening to your lore take and stuff like that. And it's just like, even though I'm being, very nitpicky about the lore and I know, what I'm talking about, yeah, people are being weird about it. I don't know. I can't speak for the entire fan base. I'm gonna say I haven't talked to many people about the show who have disliked it, so I'm not really familiar with anyone else personally that like dislikes it. I'm always the guy who be like, I hate this show, and everyone's like, what? It's the best thing ever. You like Fallout 4, right? It's like, no, I hate Fallout 4. But
Oh,
yeah,
I love
so
Fallout 4 because I'm a dirty, dirty little builder and I love building stuff.
yeah, well, maybe we could do another podcast talking about Fallout 4 because I could get into that. But anyway, before we get too deep into the weeds here, let's we wanted to do a little bit of appreciation thing for the people who watch this show,
Hmm.
and we want to read some comments that we really enjoyed and thought were really funny. And yeah, so Toller, do you want to start?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I found two that really stuck out to me, and the first one comes from Ethereal Shrine, and she says, because I guess in our last podcast episode, you said the two women that are watching, we actually found both of them in this comment. It was crazy. She says, "I am one of the two women watching, and I will defend you. Thank you guys for the laughs. Love the middle seats." And yeah, we appreciate that. We're very aware that It's male dominated over here, but it's nice to see a little estrogen every once in a while.
Mm. Well, Toller, we haven't spent much, personal time together, but you'll often find me reading a book at a coffee shop. And I'm kind of a male feminist, so.
Oh, okay, cool, cool. Yeah, I
No,
got you.
no.
I got you. Alternate between
I,
blue and green hair colors. I feel you, Bob.
yeah. No, but yeah, no, I do appreciate the ladies watching. It's lovely to see that, and yeah, get some tone down the testosterone in here once in a while.
Well, I've got another one. Won't you? Don't you have one?
Yeah, I have one from Palm Lines. He's been a watcher of the show for a while. He said, this is regarding our Stranger Things video. He said, "Great job, boys. It was a better journey listening to you both review plus podcast and going down the conformity gate rabbit hole than it was watching volume 2 and 3 of Stranger Things. It's shameful how the show ended. Bravo on your contributions and keep up the great work. Godspeed." So thank you, Palm Lines. It's a really a nice thing to say. I mean, I think what our conversations were probably more passionate and real than the entirety of
100%.
season 5.
100%. Especially when I went on my tirade about how, attached I am to this show because of my daughter. So, like, I mean, that didn't come from a position I just want to shit talk. It's coming from a position like, I'm disappointed. Like, I've got so much time invested in this shit, and this is what you give me.
Yeah, well, I think both of us probably get labeled as haters quite often. I know I do.
God, you have no
And
idea.
and it's like you just hate everything. I'm like, well, actually everything I go into, I'm a fan of. That's the thing about, like, I don't talk about things I'm not interested in. So when I do
Mhm.
a review of, a Marvel movie, or I'm talking about, Alien Earth, or Stranger Things, The Last of Us, all this shit, I'm a fan, and I'm disappointed when these things don't turn out well, and that's why I get so passionate about it. And yeah, so it's nice, that we have people that feel the same way we do.
Yep. And then I have one here that's like, I keep seeing stuff like this, but this comes from J Hertz 1984. And he slash she, I don't know. Sorry if I misgendered you, whatever the fuck. I don't care. Anyway, the Toller's voice and face don't match to what I envisioned in my head. LOL. I had a vision of some gruff old guy in his late 40s, but glad to see that you're real. I don't. I don't. Look, okay, so I don't show my face on the main channel. Well, I'm starting to now as I'm doing the out of theater reactions for members only on the channel where I'm on face cam. But all of my regular videos, I don't show my face because I don't want to. It's not that I'm trying to hide my identity or whatever may have. Whatever, people have good reasons for not showing their face. Like, hang on, which one? Like this guy over here, and that's completely okay. I'm not AI. I'm a real person. I'm not some fat dumbass sitting in a basement somewhere making YouTube videos. I'm just a normal guy. I'm big. I'm big. I'll say that for a lot of people that hear my voice and it being very deep and kind of commanding. I'm 6'8" and about 250 pounds. So that kind of explains, yeah, just, I guess, the voice, whatever the hell. But yes, Jay Hertz, very much a real person, not a 40-year-old gruff man, I don't think.
Yeah, well, I think it's funny because we keep saying, like, this is not the only comment
No, it's
on that
not.
video. There's more than one talking about what you look like, and I think we get one every other
Mhm.
video. It seems there's someone be like, "That's not how I imagined you," like,
How
I
did
thought
you
you were gonna be
imagine me?
75. Yeah, 75 years old or something.
Like, oh, I thought he looked
And
like Fabio on the front of those romance novels. Like, well, only on the
well,
weekends.
so for anyone listening, if you want to let us know what you think I look like, or let us know what you thought Toller looked like, I would love to hear your thoughts, because they are very entertaining.
Yeah, Generation Offended. He's like 4'1", bald.
Mm,
No facial
yeah,
hair, can't grow it at all. He just can't grow facial
yeah.
hair because he's a dwarf. I don't
You also missed I have an ungrown twin growing out of my neck.
Yeah,
But
right.
I ate them in the womb, not all of them, just the body. All
That went in
right,
a
so
weird
let's get into
direction.
this follow. All right, so let's get into this video, man. All right, so we're gonna talk about Fallout episode, or season 2, episode 5, The Wrangle.
Hmm.
And so we start off right where we left off in episode 4 with the Death Claws. So we got the ghoul and Lucy are surrounded, and yeah, actually, it gets even worse because in episode 4 we see one Deathclaw show up, and then in this episode 3 show up. So
I don't know about you, but I
things
got
are.
Quarry Junction flashbacks.
See, I would have had Quarry Junction flashbacks if the Deathclaws were in any way game related. These creatures are dumb, slumbering creatures. You know, like they're just idiots. You know, like they're right in front of them. Like the ghoul and Lucy are like, you know, within visible distance, probably like, I want to say, you know, 12 feet away. Maybe you know, they made the cameras like at a weird angle. But it's like, you know, 20 feet away maximum. And we
Mhm.
see in the game how fast Deathclaws run up on you. They're a big threat. And so for them to be surrounded by three, I thought this whole scene was a little lame. You know, they get away really quickly. It's really underwhelming. The threat's really built up, and then they just get away. Like, how do you feel about it?
I mean, most of my issues, because I mean, I'm in the middle on this. I think Fallout is a very well put together show. I think it's a very well acted show. I have my discrepancies with the lore, with some of the characterizations, especially the factions. I didn't mind this scene. I don't want to say you're being nitpicky because they're not acting exactly as they do in the game, but I think the fuel or your sights should be focused on the existence of them during the pre-war. I think that was the biggest thing. Was their usage in Operation Anchorage, which we saw in episode 4 and episode 5. I don't give a fuck how they're acting there in the strip. I care that they're really changing and adding things to the pre-war that they shouldn't be.
Well, okay, so that's fair. I'm not so like I could even get this on a just a writing standpoint, right? So like in the episode before, we were obviously building up the threat of the Death Claws. So let's say you haven't seen or played any Fallout games, like you don't know what this creature is. It's obviously building up this to be a major threat for the characters.
Mhm.
They leave it on a cliffhanger, so you have to wait a whole week to see what happens, and then they're again in a very like they're pretty much right in front of the Death Claw. The Death Claw doesn't see them somehow, and then they hide behind a car and they're joking around about drugs, and then they have this easy, convenient getaway where he shoots a grenade, and somehow the Death Claws don't see them, and then by the time they do see them, they get away. It's just like I think the build up to this being a threat is totally undermined by the fact that they just get away really easily. And then it's even a joke in the next scene because Lucy's like, you know, should we get a gun and blow them up, or sorry, a bazooka and blow them up, or should we, you know, is there a gun that can kill them? And then they make a comment about like you can't just sneak around them. And it's like obviously you can just sneak around them. Like you
Well,
just did it like a
quite a
second
few
ago.
commenters, because I've covered every episode besides episode 3 because I was on holiday. Were saying that these are blind death claws, which obviously there's versions of those in the game, but are all of them blind? I mean, I do see like the white milky eyes and all that. That's a little understandable, but that may explain a little bit as to why they're relying specifically on scent and hearing and they don't see them. So I don't know how you feel about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, I actually didn't catch the fact that they might be blind. That
Yeah.
gives a little bit more context to what's going on here. Still, however, the fact that that's just such a cop out in the terms of threat level, right? Because like you have this built up again, like they really like leave it on a cliffhanger, and then you know they get away without a scratch. There's not they don't even get touched, so you're getting kind of like Stranger Things level plot armor in my in my point of view. Like these they should have at least, you know, like been wounded, or you know, like the rad scorpion did more damage than these
Well,
death claws
they
did.
can't die. I mean, they can just load up a previously saved game and just start back over again. So I mean,
Yeah, yeah. Well, and again, going back to the comment that Lucy makes, where it's like, let's sneak around them, and the ghouls that you can't do that. Well, you just did. Like, if they're blind, especially, then yes, you could absolutely sneak around. They
mhm.
seem very inept.
Yeah. Well, what do you think? You know, I'm hankering on this subject because you and I are going to disagree in like the show being, you know, good, entertaining, abiding by the lore just enough. I think it's just enough. You don't think they are. I'm very curious about what I just stated, and that the death claws were used in Operation Anchorage in episode 4,
Hmm.
where we see, you know, United States Marine Corps Cooper Howard out there in his T-45 armor. And then we have the whole conversation with House. And we won't talk about the conversation House has specifically, but just the mention of the death clause and them being tied to a separate entity.
Yeah.
how do you as a purist, how do you feel? Because Deathclaws, their usage in the pre-war was always very ambiguous in the games. There was never outright facts and dates and all this other shit. So them being obviously very present in Operation Anchorage, how do you feel about them kind of, I don't say contradicting, but retconning, I guess in a way.
I think it's fine. You can play around with the Anchorage thing a little bit. Like I'm
Mm.
not like a dick. You can I understand the show needs to have some twists and turns in there, and that's fine. I wasn't blown away by the twist that the Deathclaw was there. Like, I don't know. Okay, so from two angles. Again, I'm just gonna state this. I didn't state at the beginning of the video. I should have. I hate the fact that the show is canon to the games. I think that's my biggest gripe, right? Like, had they just made the show separate, then my lore, nitpickiness would be at a much more of a backdrop. I would be like, this isn't how it was in the games, but the show's changing it, blah blah blah. But now it's because it's canon, this gets muddled really quickly because the show tends to go off on its own quite often.
Hmm.
And even though I don't hate it here, it's not like grinding my gears. It does become a larger issue when we get into other aspects of the story. And what the Deathclaw thing is leading to is obviously the Enclave. So the big twist that we're talking about this conversation that's going to come up is going to be the Enclave. And we'll get
Oh
more
yeah.
into that later. I think when that conversation becomes like the mystery is who's the big party that blows up, the world. I think it's the Enclave.
Well, it's bullshit. I mean, we can talk about that right now. I think it's bull because that ties into the conversation that we were just having about the death clause being present in Operation Anchorage. So Mr. House, towards the tail end of the episode, is talking about this third party, this other entity, and he states that he has reason to believe that the people who are responsible for the in quotation marks demon in the snow, referring to Cooper Howard's death claw situation in Anchorage, are the same people who are behind or could be behind the first dropping of the bombs. Now, anybody that knows Fallout, which I'm sure, obviously you do, Generation Offended, is that the games have always heavily implied that the Chinese were the first. Matter of fact, Fallout 2, especially when you do the Emperor supercomputer mission, there's multiple logs in there talking about how if Beijing or just the mainland China in general would ever be in a situation where they had to surrender, which ironically happened at the very beginning of October in 2077, that they would drop the bombs instead of surrendering, which is what happened literally 2 weeks later. I don't like how they're putting it in concrete that it wasn't the Chinese and it was someone else. I think that's a cowardly move because China is such a large audience and such a big part of the entertainment scope that they're being bitches and retconning what 20 years worth of game lore.
Hmm. Well, the fact that they don't even say China,
Mm-hmm.
they won't even say the word. They won't even say the word. They're terrified of pissing off the Chinese audience. That's the oh man, we're so quickly getting to the weeds with the whole communism thing aspect of this whole
Go,
show as well.
go because
It,
this actually I'll
yeah,
or-
yeah, okay, all right. Okay, so this is like meta and story issues here. So in real life, obviously they don't want to piss off their Chinese audience. However, they also really like to talk about how bad capitalism is, and they're like really pro-communist in the show.
mhm.
And I mean, it's very on the nose. So they're not even trying to hide it. If you watch any interviews with the showrunners, they're like, "Yeah, we like talking about like 1990s capitalism, communism discussion. It's like a lot of fun, tongue-in-cheek humor, and they essentially just make capitalism this world-ending." Demonic threat that will blow up the world to get what it wants. And communism is great. And so I think what they're trying to do is make America the villain, and more specifically the capitalists that run Vault-Tec and everything. Um, so this is all an effort to swing it that way. So they're not going to name China, and they're not going to talk badly about communism, which is ironic considering the source material. The thing that pisses me off, again, going back to the fact that the games are canon to the show and everything,
Mhm.
they're continuing the story. However, they want to reset it because they want to make they're going to build the Enclave back up. You can just tell, right? So the
Right.
Brotherhood of Steel are they're the big faction. right? And that was the case in Fallout 1 and 2. And then the Enclave was the big bad in Fallout 2, so they want to bring the Enclave back. And essentially, they're just resetting everything. We can't have New Vegas because you got to destroy it. You can't have any cool cities. Every settlement's got to be a shithole. No society can develop. It's got to be everything's set back to square one. The Legion, the NCR, Mr. House, even the Kings are taken off the
Jesus.
table so that we have fucking the Brotherhood of Steel fight the Enclave again. That's what we want. We want to bring back the old power armor versus power armor, good old knights versus evil capitalism. That's what they want.
Well, I mean,
So,
and just from a warfare perspective, which I went over this in my episode 5 review, and like I said, I liked the episode. I'm always going to give kind of a middling to a positive review, except for episode 4 for what they did to the BOS. But when the Chinese invaded the United States and Alaska over, there's Operation the FEV, and of course there was the oil that was discovered in Alaska. That's why they invaded in the first place. I mean, the Chinese and Americans fought for 10 years, and then was it 2074? I believe it was when Americans actually invaded mainland China, and then in 2077 is when Operation Anchorage happened. That we won the battle in Anchorage, took Alaska back, while simultaneously closing in on Beijing, the capital of China, because at this point they were fucked. Their military was depleted. The surge in power armor and research there, like it was helping ground troops. The Marine Corps was beating the shit out of everything. China, from just a logical perspective, it makes, game aside, it makes no sense for anybody in America to fire nukes off. You're winning. It makes no sense to set nukes off. The nukes were always used as a sign of desperation to help level the playing field, literally and figuratively, in the games. So them trying to shoehorn the Enclave in here and say that they did it doesn't, from a game perspective, it doesn't make sense. It contradicts the lore, and from a logical standpoint, it doesn't make any sense. You don't do that when you're winning. You do it when you're losing, and China was losing in both instances.
well, even from an economic standpoint, it doesn't make any sense because they want us to believe that, Vault-Tec and Big MT and all these Robco and all these companies were like conspiring to destroy the world to win the game of capitalism, as they call it. That doesn't make any sense. Capitalism is all about trade and fucking commerce and getting more money. How do you fucking get more money if you blow up the world? How does that work?
And it's
It's
ironic.
just so fucking dumb.
It's ironic this is coming out of Amazon too, which is probably the best definition of capitalism in my lifetime.
Oh man. Well, it's the same thing with the fucking Stranger Things finale. You get Jonathan taking shots at capitalism and like this weird commie sympathy going on. It's like, what? Like, you guys are the epitome of capitalism. You're a fucking streaming service. You would sell your own souls if you could get another dime. Like, you're fucking
Thanks
full
to
of shit.
capitalism, you were able to put Blockbuster out of business and fucking rise to the top of the streaming charts. That's how it works. But yeah,
Yeah.
surprise, Prime Day,
Ironic.
for me, I just think it's cowardly. Like the game spent all this time talking about the Chinese and how they were involved in this, and they were like I said, you never read a log, right, where this says China did it. The games never say that. But if you're well versed in the lore, especially like I said, for folks that play Fallout 2, go to the Emperor supercomputer, start reading some of those logs of what their mitigation plan was going to be, and it says very clearly in there, very clearly, that if Beijing were ever in a position that they had to surrender, dropping the nuclear bombs would be a last sign of desperation for them, which makes sense with the lore because the Americans were closing in on Beijing in early October 2077, and the bombs dropped about 3 weeks later. Common sense.
Well, the going back to this conversation between fucking Mr. House and Cooper, there's this like neither of them are like China would drop the bomb because they're like, who's the secret third party that's gonna blow up the world? Like, who knows? Who could it be? And neither one of them even have the balls to be like, well, would it be China? Like, they're like, it has to be someone on the inside. It's like, well, there's a whole fucking faction out here you're at war with that is obviously
Especially
a contender.
Cooper. He's fought them on the front lines.
Yeah. Yeah, well, hey, man, he doesn't know if he was fighting the right guys. You know, maybe we're on the wrong side. You know, evil capitalism. Ugh.
And not to mention too that this season, not just this season, but like the back half of the first season too, has been building up that Vault-Tec was behind this, and there was a big government conspiracy to drop bombs on America themselves to help profit and all this other mess. And then that rug just gets pulled out from underneath this house is like, nah, it ain't them. And it's like, what the fuck did we just do for the last 6 episodes then?
Yeah, well, I wonder if they were like, "This was so fucking dumb." Like, we have to like walk this back a little bit, but it doesn't take away from the fact that like all these big capitalist guys were like, "Yeah, this is a good idea. I'm gonna destroy everything I know so I can do some weird experiments in a vault."
Yeah, right.
And not even live to really see it through, because like we know that well, what's his name there? Buds there. We know
Norm.
he
Yeah.
ends up surviving like for a while, but he's like a brain in a jar. Like he literally
Oh yeah.
destroyed the world so he could be a brain in a jar and fuck around in a vault and do the weird experiment. Like why?
Well, it's just that how they look at people with power. It's just odd to me because people that have power, especially like political capital and stuff like that, they're all made out to be evil. And it's like you realize that not every single rich person with political power that you run into is a shit person. Like you need to stop watching the news, get off fucking CNN and all this other shit because there's some good people that are out there. Everybody's out to make some money, and I think that's completely fine. Make your money how you need to make your money, but not every rich person or big corporation is straight up evil. I'm 6'8",
Mm.
250 pounds. You put me in this fucking show, they think I go around punching fucking people that are smaller than I am just because I'm bigger than they are. And it's like that's not how this works. Like there is some good to humanity. I hope you know that.
Yeah, well, that comes into the conversation with Mr. House as well, because he's depicted as a really morally gray character, I think, throughout most of Fallout. But however, in New Vegas, if you kill Mr. House, it's bad karma if you do that. Like,
Yep.
and if you get bad karma for killing a character, that means the game considers them to be a good person, which
Correct.
is
Yep.
really interesting because he's like the fucking obviously the you know what does he call himself? And he's an autocratic dictator of New Vegas, but considered to be a good person. And I think ultimately he might want the best for humanity. But we're gonna get into Mr. House and how they depict him in the show because it gets, in my opinion, not so good. But we'll see.
Well, I say we go from what Quarry Junction. We go into. I'm really not concerned too much. How about this? We'll just get the one good section out of his story out of the way, even though it comes a little bit later in the episode, which is Norm. I like him as a character, but I think like his side of the story is pretty crap. I'm not really interested in it. But he did run across which I thought this was funny. Hank apparently has this entire town under surveillance to the point that he saw the snake oil salesman come in, knew exactly where he was. He had this whole group of fucking
Mhm.
people walk into Vault-Tec headquarters. Nothing happens. Weird. But we find out about the FEV. It was a small little cameo there on what's his name's wife's computer. Um,
Yes,
which nothing with that just yet. The FEV is what is it, evolutionary virus? What is it? Starts with an
forced
F.
evolutionary
There you
force.
go. There you go. There you
Yeah.
go. That's just a small little snippet. That is the chemical that is used to buy. Well, I know I'm a little more well versed in the older games. The master uses it to create pretty much an army of super mutants. So the FEV being in the show means that super mutants could exist within this show. So
Yeah, well, that's another point to the Enclave. They're leaving a lot of Enclave uh, Easter eggs here, like the FEV have a lot to do with them. Because the American military developed FEV to make super soldiers, essentially to fight against like biochemical attacks from
mhm.
the Chinese, and so they have a lot to do with FEV and everything. So that's just, I think that's another like, hey, the Enclave, they're involved. She's an Enclave agent. Yeah, that's what they're leading to. Uh, that's just more evidence of that. I just don't. I cannot think of another faction that would be in any way, that they would be hinting to. It's just like
Well,
it's the Enclave. There's no one else.
that I mean, all the other factions are so dumbed down. I mean, the NCR is non-existent. Kaisar's Legion, which I mean, fuck those guys anyway, but they're fighting one another. Macaulay Culkin's getting ready to become Kaisar. That's interesting. the Brotherhood of Steel. I mean, unless you want me ranting and fucking raving, they're pretty much they blew themselves the hell up. So I mean, they're doing so many factions a disservice just to make way for the Enclave, and I think it's bullshit.
Yeah, well, especially considering how well developed these factions are in New Vegas, like to see them all just disintegrate before your eyes off screen, it's pretty
Hmm.
disrespectful. Well, you're bringing up the NCR, especially, like that was an established country for like 80 years, and it was like bigger than a lot of modern nations are today. And, it had a capital and,
Yeah.
like economics and like its own currency, its own national identity. Like there would be enough there for them to survive brutal, nuclear attack on Shady Sands. So the fact that they're just written off the show afterwards is really fucking disrespectful. It pisses me right the fuck off. And
How
yeah,
do you
like you
feel
said,
about
it's just
well, let me
yeah.
ask you this then before you include it in the conversation. How do you feel about? I understand that the showrunners are trying to keep things as ambiguous as possible because player choice is paramount. They've said that, and there's multiple different routes that you can go in New Vegas. However, each route is definitive. It comes with a definitive set of consequences and ways of shaping the wasteland. For instance, if you decide to side with Kaiser's Legion, then pretty much everyone in the general vicinity is forced into being slaves and serving the Legion. The show has not shown us at all that there's any kind of definitive ending. How do you feel about that?
I think so. I think there's a meta there's a meta thing going on here. So I think Todd Howard has always hated New Vegas because he got
I
famous
wonder
for
why.
making Fallout. Yeah, well, he got famous for making Fallout 3 or remake, bringing the Fallout franchise back. And there's this whole, I won't get into it here, but like there's this whole thing with Obsidian and Bethesda had to give them the rights to a game, and they gave them a very short time period to do it. And essentially, they were just like, make this game and fuck off. And Obsidian made it better than Bethesda ever did.
Hmm.
And I think it's always rubbed Todd Howard the wrong way that everyone compares, his games to New Vegas, and like essentially all RPGs are now compared to New Vegas in terms of choice and stuff. So it's like, oh, this is like the New
Yeah.
Vegas, and I think there's some level of he wants to ruin it. He wants to make sure nothing comes out of it. Because this is like because you're talking about the endings. These are none of the endings, right?
Right.
None. Like New Vegas is destroyed. The factions are dead. There's like whatever choice the courier made was the wrong one. So like all the time you spent in New Vegas, all the time you worked yourself, getting those factions together, being diplomatic, or perhaps killing them off or building those relationships, none of it matters because Vegas is fucked no matter what. And it's really heartbreaking from a player standpoint. And it's funny because like they can kind of write the endings of, like, let's say Fallout 3, for example, because the endings are very shitty. It's just like
Yeah.
you join the Brotherhood or you poison the wasteland with the
I
Enclave.
mean, I ain't got a problem.
Like,
I ain't got a problem with that though.
yeah, well, yeah, I'm more like, I like a lot of choices, and I think Fallout New Vegas has, four great choices in terms of like lore and interest and lots of debate around it. But you don't get that with Fallout 3, you don't get that with Fallout 4.
You don't need it, man. I'm
And
a BOS fanboy for the folks that are listening. I love the Brotherhood of
I know
Steel. So
you
like
are.
Fallout 3, like, yeah, that's a good ending, man. I love that. That's the only ending you need, bro.
Yeah, but so from an RPG standpoint, you want as much freedom of choice as possible, and I think this is a way to stomp that out and make it really disappointing because yeah, it's just a shithole now, and it doesn't matter. The greatest city in the wasteland is fucked, and Todd Howard hates New Vegas, and I think this is kind of evidence. And maybe people are saying, Todd Howard doesn't write it. Well, he gives a sign off for it. He's like, they have to go
Yeah.
to him to get the
Same thing with The
approval.
Last of Us. Neil Druckmann had to put his name on it. That was something I was going over in my videos, and it's like none of the endings. Like, you can't say, well, okay, well, if the courier picked the NCR, there's like three of them in this show. If they actually won the Battle of Hoover Dam and you got their ending, they'd be everywhere. But they're not because Shady Sands is destroyed. Kaiser's Legion is the only one that, like, well, I mean, I guess, Kaiser, the brain tumor, I guess he didn't get cured. I guess that's the one, I guess, decision in game that they show in the show. But yeah, even the independent ending that you get with Yes Man. If you decide to, I guess what's the word I'm looking for here? You took the independent ending and you run out all the other factions, right? But no, the factions are still there in New Vegas. There's not a single choice that's ever made in the game that you can look and go, oh, hey, the show follows it. I just thought that was so odd.
Yeah, no, again, coming back to the whole canon thing just doesn't make any sense. I like, oh, like with so throughout New Vegas, anyone familiar with the game, like it's really hammered home that the Legion is going to fall apart at some point. It's really built
Hmm.
on a cult of personality. It's built around Caesar. When he dies, it's fucked because there's no one really there to succeed him. It's Caesar's Legion, not anything else. And it's also really heavily implied that the NCR will be fine no matter how this turns out. Like, they're not doing great in the Mojave, but they have a whole country. This is the frontier for them. They're not the reason why they're having such a hard time in New Vegas is because they don't have the resources to bring up to the front right now. And
Yeah.
that's why the career is so important. He's got to help go around and build up the camps and help out the war effort. But if they lose Hoover Dam, it's not like a breaking thing for them. They'll be okay. Like it'll be a
Right.
loss for sure, but they'll exist. Yeah. So the fact that they've killed off the NCR here completely, and Caesar's Legion is somehow more prominent and okay. They're in a civil war, I guess, but they're still around is ridiculous. I think that's a complete slap in the face to what has been established, right?
Yeah, that group just sucks in the games. I shit on Kaiser's Legion people in my videos every single time. That whole faction just sucks.
Well, I mean, they're obviously the most villainous of all the groups, but they're so cool at the same time, like
Yeah, yeah.
super rich lore and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So it's well, we're coming back around now in terms of scenes. We're coming back around to Mr. House and Cooper. So I actually want to talk about this show structure here. So we see the ghoul and Lucy depart from each other early on in the episode,
Hmm.
and the ghoul we follow the ghoul as he goes and he gets a drink and then he does a flashback and then we see Lucy's brother and then it takes so long to get back to Lucy, but they pick up right where we left off. She's just walking to the drugstore again, like she's gonna get this cure-all for her addiction.
Hmm.
But it's like fucking 30 minutes into the episode and it's like it's very, I don't know, I found it really odd that they were just like, okay, we're gonna drop off here at the 5 minute mark, and then we're gonna come back at the 30 minute mark, and she's still walking to the grocery store. Like, I don't know. I thought that was really poorly handled.
I didn't really have an issue with that. I mean, the disjointed events happen in shows all the time. I didn't have a problem with that. I don't guess. Um, yeah, that's really I like it. What about Freeside? Did you like the way they did Freeside? I particularly liked it. It didn't look like a 1-for-1 recreation they did in the game, but I thought they did it justice.
No, I didn't like. I mean, yes, visually again, the sets look good. I'm not gonna be all like, oh, that's not where the where's the it's not all lined up exactly the way it was in the game. That's fine. If you have the landmarks there, that's good enough for me. However, like again with the factions on a smaller level, they've neutered them again. Like the kings are all ghouls now. Like, one of the most defining factions in Freeside are just a bunch of fucking ghouls. And like, also just get completely killed off in this goofy manner with like, some fun music and Lucy just kills everybody. Like there goes Pacer, there goes the king, fuck them all. Might as well butt fuck Rex them to the ground while you're at it. Like Jesus Christ, it's I don't know. I think the soul of Freeside has been taken out of it. It's cool. It looks cool, but like so much of the show, it's just like the substance is gone. Like the thing that makes me care about this place is gone. Like, oh, you have the King's Institute for music and dance or whatever. It's
Right.
there. The fucking building's there, but it's what? Well, who's in it? Like nobody. You have the Atomic Wrangler that looks nothing like the Atomic Wrangler, and where are the Van Graffs? Have the thing that made Freeside special is gone.
Well, we did get Fisto.
Yeah, we take it. We got Fisto. We
Please
got.
assume the position.
Well, there you go. If you,
What
at
was the
least
other
they
one
got.
too? Because I was trying to explain it in my video, and I'm like, well, I can't necessarily talk about. Let's see here. Eh, Yeah. Okay. People get upset we can't
Yeah.
talk about that on YouTube.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
I was
yeah.
like, well, I had somebody in the comment section. I was like, well, where's Beatrix Russell? And I'm like, you dirty, dirty dog, you. Like,
That's funny. Yeah, I want the criers and everything, and yeah, I think yeah, like yeah, I'm very just heartbroken. So I mean, again, visually beautiful show. It looks great. Like Mr. House's fucking room and everything. Like it looks so good. You know, it's like yes, this is New Vegas. I can see it. It's there, but it's like a hollow fucking. It's like modern art.
well, it's a hollow shell without the factions that made it what it is. I get what you're saying, and I think that's fair. I think that like you go to something and you want to see personality, and in the games, the factions and those specific characters what added the personality to the location. Yeah, what do we get this episode from Freeside? Some fucking druggie that killed a dude and stole his uniform, and we had to have this little
Mhm.
gag joke about him. You know, fucking Chris Farley did it what 20 years ago. Fat guy and a little coat. You know, the guy wearing something that's entirely too small for him. You're right. It yeah. I guess I kind of see what you're saying, but there to be sure there has to be an answer here for why this was done.
Well, they play it like it's a comedy. Yeah, they think it's a madcap comedy, this show. And so everybody's retarded.
Okay.
Like that's the go-to answer. Oh, why did they do this? Because they're retarded. Like it's not because anyone's smart or clever or doing something that's in character even. It's just yeah, they're stupid. You know, like why did that guy take over that store and wear his clothes even though they're really small? He's stupid. Why why does the Brotherhood of Steel play around with a grenade during one of their biggest meetings of like all the chapters? Because they're stupid. It's like, yeah.
Why did
How
they
did
turn them
Maximus?
into a fucking college frat house that plays Fight Club
Yeah.
in their leisure? Dude, don't even get me started on the BOS. Oh my god. Here's the thing. All right, well, I'm gonna get started. Here's the thing about the show is like I said, I'm a huge BOS fanboy, huge. Fallout 3 sided with them. New Vegas, I helped them as much as I could, but they didn't have a primary ending. And then Fallout 4, I am all about it, baby. Especially like Liberty Prime. Like I've done the BOS ending so many times. I love it. I love everything about the BOS. I'm a big guy myself. That just appeals to me, right? Guys in big power armor, armor clad suits and all that. It's cool. And to see them reduced to just idiots in the show. Just pure D fucking idiots made me some because for someone like myself, I'm like, oh my god, like I can't wait to see this. Finally, my favorite faction up on the screen. And I can affirmatively say right now that Maximus, I hate his guts. I hate that character. I hate the BOS. I hate how they're portrayed. The only person that I liked was Harkness. That was the only one. And the only reason why I liked him, not necessarily because of the actor that plays him, not really his characteristics, whatever. But if you listen to him talk, he actually talks the way someone from the BOS would talk. He espouses all of their ideals. He talks about all of their morals, I guess, or lack thereof, however you want to look at it. They're not a perfect faction. But, he's very proud to be BOS. And just like anybody who's ever been in the game and been on BOS, very proud, except for the Outcast in Fallout 3. But then they kill him a half hour later. And it's like, you serious? And they focus on this like quasi religious bullshit, which was always in the background in the games. And they bring it to the forefront here. To where what's his name? The guy that's in charge of the one on the show. This is how I don't fucking care. I can't remember his name. But
The
he's like,
scribe there.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's like this super religious dude. And it's like, that was never like actually religious. The BOS in the
Mhm.
games worship technology. They didn't worship a person or a messiah or whatever the fuck. This dude does. And it's just, I don't know. I'm walking in circles. I'm pissed off over that deeply.
Yeah, I mean, I'm right there with you. The Brotherhood of Steel are really mishandled in this show. I mean, they're just a walking punchline for most of it. Like
Mm-hmm.
all the paladins, all the knights are literally retarded. Like they're just dumb. Like they talk like this. Like ha ha ha. Like again, passing around a grenade, a live grenade, and nobody notices. Right? Like they're just fucking like a grenade, and it's like okay, like is this really happening? Is Maximus the one who has to come over and be like, don't blow up the council? And fucking like one of the leaders has a dent in his head. One's like a really big misogynist,
You mean
perhaps a racist.
you mean
Can't
Buffalo
remember. He's
Bill from
yeah,
fucking from
yeah,
Joe
like
Dirt?
yeah, they're all fucking, like, like, and then they're conspiring to kill each other while they're in a cafeteria surrounded by, you know, grunts. They're like, they're openly talking about how they're like, well, maybe we should start a civil war, blah blah blah, and they're conspiring against each other with the paladin, or
Mhm.
sorry, with the ghoul who's pretending to be the paladin. But like, they're all dumb. That's the whole problem. They're
And
all dumb.
and how he got on this ship, like that pissed, especially
Ugh,
being a military man myself. Like it doesn't matter
yeah.
what your rank is when you're coming on and off base, especially checking into a duty station. You can't just walk in and go, "Hi, my name is this." No, no, no. You'll have some Lance Corporal Schmuckatelli who's on duty who will say, "No, sir, you need to present your ID. I need to confirm who you are. Rank. I respect your rank. I respect who you are, but I need your identification. I need to see who you are." But this guy's like tripping. He can't get through a doorway. He's tripping out of the vertibird and stumbling around the big. I don't think it's a prayer one, but you get what I'm saying. The big ship, and it's like nobody thinks to go. Excuse me, like, could you just pop the hood real quick? Like, make sure you are who you say you are.
Yeah, I mean that's it. Yeah, you're totally right. That's really stupid. There's a like what's going on with Maximus, man? Like so he's
Fuck that guy.
super loyal now to the Brotherhood, but not really, and he's got a father figure now, but not really. And so like when this what's the paladin's name there? The Indian guy?
Oh, Harkness.
What's his name? Harkness, right?
Yeah.
So okay, so he volunteers to kill Harkness, right? He's like, I'll just kill him. And then the cleric's like, you're a fucking idiot, don't do that. And so then he becomes buddies with Harkness, then kills him, and then he's like, I'm gonna go kill the cleric now. And it's like, why? Why? What do you get? Like, what is this gonna do for you? Are you just sowing chaos? Like, what? Well, there's no, there's no like logical follow through. If his idea was, I'm gonna run away and escape, and like because I've killed Harkness and I've started a civil war, I'm probably gonna get out of here. Then just leave. You don't need to kill this guy. You don't need to kill the old man, and fails to do it.
Hmm.
The fact that he like has a gun trained on him is gonna kill him and then doesn't do it, and even gives the old man a chance to fucking shoot at him. Like, it was such a painful scene.
Well, I mean, and the thing that attracted me to the BOS, and I'm not saying like every faction in Fallout has its ups and its downs, right? They all have their positives and negatives. They can be bad in a certain light. They be good in a certain light. What attracted me to the BOS, as being a military man myself, is that there's a lot of discipline. There's a rank structure. There is, what I'm saying, there's pattern there. There's a way of doing things morally. Okay, yeah, fucking annihilating ghouls and anything that's considered an abomination. You can disagree with that. I do as well. But for the most part, that's why I like the BOS. That discipline, that rank structure. None of that shit exists in the show whatsoever. These are like the least disciplined people in the show.
Yeah, again, going back to that grenade thing, like it's just fucking, I can't get over it. It's just
Or
in
they
my
find
head
that
all the
really nice
time.
car and they're like, "Oh, dude, we
Just
found this,"
blow it
and then
up.
they just use it as a target practice. It's like, what the fuck are you doing? Or if fight clubbing in the middle of the hall there and killing one another, and it's like, what? Like you're supposed to be comrades. There's camaraderie here. You're brothers, and you're just stabbing each other in the fucking back. Like, what the hell?
Well, again, because they're just like mad. It's a madcap comedy. It doesn't have to make sense. It's supposed to be funny, and then and I think a lot of people, especially who like the show, will run and hide behind that. They'll be like, "Well, you're not supposed to take it seriously. It's a joke. It's funny." And it's like, well, you can't do that every time they do something fucking retarded. Like,
Yeah,
because the show
Star
also
Wars.
wants it to.
Go ahead.
The show also wants to take itself seriously a lot of the time. So like you can't just nitpick, or sorry, not nitpick. You can't just cherry pick what you want to be funny and not taken seriously, and then what you don't want to take funny. I mean, it's just like, what are you doing? Like, it's either take the show seriously and have comedic elements, or make it just a flat out comedy where nothing's serious and ruin it, which is what they're doing. And don't take yourself seriously at all. It's just because like it doesn't make sense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I can't take I like and it ruined. So we're coming up to the scene with Mr. House here, and like what really undermines the entire experience is that I don't know how I'm supposed to feel about any of this. Like, is like Mr. House is kind of this like wacky fucking Willy Wonka type character where he's like all Yeah, he's got like a weird, quirky personality. He's not very serious. He's wearing a weird gadget on his head and shit. And it's just like, okay, I don't really think he's a very serious figure.
I think in the
And
scene you're talking about, he is. I agree with you in every other instance, especially the whole mind control back of the neck thingy. I think that was kind of stupid. Manias like Doctor Evil level of stupid.
yeah,
But I think the
yeah.
scene you're talking about specifically, I think he was the house that I saw in the game.
Okay, well, let's get into that. So Cooper Howard, he's arrived at the tower, and they're talking about who's going to really end the world, right? When we brought this up at the beginning.
Hmm.
So we get some reveals here. We know we get kind of an intro to who House really is. He's the mastermind behind it all. He knows everything, except he's worried about this third faction, which is obviously the Enclave.
Right.
So what I don't like about this, and it's actually how he's projected. His physical stance is what I don't like. So in the games, Mr. House is always above you. He's always depicted being greater than you, right? Like he's on the top of the tower, he's on the big screen, he's always looking down. He's a very dominating figure, and he's always the smartest person in the room, and he's never really losing a conversation. Now, I don't mind Justin Theroux's, is that his name?
Yes.
The actor who
Yes.
plays Mr. House, I think he's a fine actor. I don't think this is House because the way he plays him, he's a bit more goofy. He's a little silly. He's really weird. He's eccentric. And so when Cooper Howard comes in to the room, he has a lot of dominance over the conversation. And you can see that in the physical presence because Cooper Howard is literally looking down on Mr. House when he comes in. Like I said, House is always above everyone physically and it's a way to subconsciously tell the audience he's powerful. But when you have Cooper Howard come in and he's looking down at House and talking shit about House and he's calling him a lunatic and he's not taking anything he's saying very seriously, it undermines what House is as a person. House is always the smartest person. He's two steps ahead of everybody. He's supposed to be, fucking like even when he's losing, he's fucking getting you with zingers and shit. Um, yeah, so I think that's what, like, as a character, it's not the same person.
See, I disagree. I think it's based on perspective. So I mean, like when we see him in the game, obviously it's a screen, and it's obvious, his body's back behind whatever the hell, and is roped up and being kept alive and all that. This is the human version that we get to see of him. And see, I see that completely differently. Especially being as big of a guy as I am. Yeah, I don't need to stand up to show you that I'm bigger than you are. I don't need to stand up to show you that I'm stronger than you are. I think, House doing the things that he did, especially taking the blows and the way that he guided the conversation, especially getting so assertive and so aggressive with Cooper and pretty much disregarding everything he said. I saw that as a symbol of power in itself. I mean, who the hell cares if somebody's fucking looking down on you when you're the most powerful man in the room? You know it. You don't need to show them that. And that's exactly what it is. And if you watch, Cooper actually goes down to House's level, not the other way around. And so I don't know. I thought that particular scene to me was good. I thought it was very cold, very calculative, especially when he's talking about, the demon in the snow and kind of giving his algorithm as to what he's predicting and how he thinks things are going to go. I think that his language especially was very consistent, had a very good smart flow. He wasn't really taken aback by anything. I liked it. Everything else I despise, especially the mind control brain thingy. I thought that was goofy. Like I said, Doctor Evil levels of just stupidity. But this specific scene, like if I envisioned a human version of Mr. House and seeing him, live action or in a game, that's how I would see it. I think someone that has to constantly put themselves above me or talk down to me in order to make themselves feel powerful or appear powerful, you're not. You're actually not. This is just your ego. This is you. This is a facade. I think him sitting down there and doing everything that he did and brought Cooper down to his level in the way that he thought. I thought that was more powerful than anything that I would have seen. I guess I don't want to say I've seen in the game, but you get what I'm saying. As far as a human version goes, I thought this was done relatively perfectly.
Mm. Yeah, well, I mean, I understand what you're saying, like with uh, in a real life scenario where someone has to be bigger than you isn't as intimidating, perhaps. But I think there's this subconscious it's a directing tool, right? To put someone above another character, it's a way to communicate to the audience this person is in control. And I'm trying to think of some scenes that I could relate to that you would know, but I'm only thinking of Game of Thrones.
Well, no, I'm agreeing.
Let's say,
I'm agreeing with you here.
let-
I think you're right in saying that like there's a way visually that you can show those things. We've seen that happen with plenty of characters, especially size, scale, and scope. I get that.
yeah,
What I'm saying is that I think the approach with Mr. House, especially what we know from him in the game, him being very cerebral, very cold, very calculative. I think they did a good job here. They didn't need to make him physically imposing or put him up somewhere. The direction didn't need to be that. When it came down to a battle of wits, he beat the fuck out of Cooper in that conversation. He kind of came off a little loony. I'll give you that one. He came a little
yeah.
eccentric, a
I
little
don't.
loony.
I just don't feel like. I mean, he kind of got him. It just never felt like that. Like, oh, fucking. No, I can't agree with you, man. I feel like throughout the conversation, Cooper is like not taking him very seriously. Like, he's like, fucking. I don't care what you say. The world's gonna end my wife. It's my wife. Blah blah blah. Like, uh, the revelations that Mr. House give to Cooper don't devastate him in the way they need to. Like he's like even when Cooper leaves, he's leaving on his own volition. He's not being dismissed. He's leaving because he wants to. And then fucking Mr. House is like, like, oh, I'm trying to save the world, blah blah blah. Like, he's trying to convince him that he's right and that Cooper's wrong. There's no moment where Cooper's fucking like, oh fuck, like this guy's got me. Like I
100%
don't know. It
happens.
just didn't really feel. I just don't feel like it was that moment. Like, yeah, he's like, oh, I know, your daughter's birthday is the day the bombs drop, and like there's a third party and blah blah blah. But like, it just didn't really, yeah, it didn't feel like this checkmate moment where the character is like who he is in the games.
I think it was more cerebral than that. And you and I know this probably more than most. So, what's the first indicator that you've won a conversation or debate in a YouTube comment section? What's the first indicator?
I'm guessing you say walk away or
No, they start calling you names. What did Cooper
oh
do?
yeah.
What did Cooper do?
Oh, yeah, he calls him a
But as I'm
lunatic. I
saying,
mean, but
like,
he is a lunatic. He's fucking wearing a goofy gadget on his head, and you don't even know why he's like. I don't even know what that thing was or what he was trying to show him. It's
that
just
is that,
something.
that is the exact same helm that he is wearing inside of his body chamber
Oh
thingy.
right, yeah,
Yeah, it's just
yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
thing you
But
see in the
why
game.
is he putting it on there? Yeah, is he like what I
Alluding,
mean?
it's alluding to what's coming.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
guess, but no, I think that conversation, like I said, when it comes down to signs at the very end, when Mr. House was like, as a cry of desperation, I think that was a little weird, but I thought he had the upper hand in the entire conversation, and I know that because Cooper, instead of battling with logic, it started going to calling him names, which is something we see all
Hmm.
too often in the YouTube comment sections. So I don't know. Like I said, I don't think the scene was perfect. It did have its issues, but like when people talk about like how Mr. House is characterized in the show and how horrible it is, I think that's the one exception. Because I actually really like this scene. I think Justin Theroux knocked it out of the park.
Yeah, I can see what he's trying to do with the character, and I think had it been for another character, I would have liked it. Like if he was another character in another show, I wouldn't dislike it. But yeah, I just don't. Again, it comes down, I think, ultimately to command. I just don't feel like he commands the scene. I don't think it feels like he's really defeated Cooper, and I think if we were to rewrite it, and I told you, okay, so how about Cooper comes into the room and he goes up to the computer and he's looking at all the observational tech that Mr. House has even before he's entered the room, right? So he gets a view as to what's going on and how much control this guy has over Vegas. And then Mr. House comes in and he's on the balcony and he's looking down at Cooper and he tells him what's going on and like you have this physical distance between them where he's got the high ground. I think that would communicate to the audience a lot better that he's in control and Cooper's fucked here, and like, or he's at least he's got something over on him. But yeah, it didn't strike me as a big blow or a big it didn't like bring out the red carpet for the character in the way I wanted it to.
What
But
I
yeah, I
don't
can
think
see
no
what
matter what you did though, as far as you saying like it was a different character, like I mean the fact it's Walton Goggins and it's the Ghoul. I mean, he could have walked in there and looked at Mr. House and went goobity goobity goobity, and people would have still sided with him. So there's really because it's Walton Goggins as the Ghoul. But you know what I'm saying. But I don't think there was ever really a way to, especially screen presence wise, just the actor and the character himself. I don't think there's ever a way for House to command anything. Um, just my
Yeah,
opinion on
well,
that. Yeah.
yeah, well, Walton Goggins really does carry the show on his back.
God, he's good, man. God, he's
He's
so fucking good.
good.
Although I get so
He
sick and tired of every time he pops up on screen, you hear,
Oh my god, I know
like,
the
what the
yodels,
fuck is
man, they're
happening?
brutal.
It
It's like
that's
he literally he grabs a drink and walks up the stairs and they're like, "Hi, hi, hi,
well,
hi."
it's like if you turn on the subtitles for the Wonder Woman film, when that happens, it'll show women lamenting, and that's all I can think of now. Every time I hear that, when he pops up, is men lamenting. Like,
That's awesome. That's really funny. Oh my god.
well, what about him? I mean, we disagreed on House. I think we a civil disagreement there. I'm looking forward to see where it goes with him. But what about
Mhm.
like that ending scene where fucking the ghoul gets like throat punched by a power fist?
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I guess they really before because that is the end scene. So is there
Mm,
anything else here? No, that is it. Eh? Okay. So yeah, we're coming up to the end of the episode. Yeah. So let's summarize here. So Lucy has robbed the store, grabbed the power fist, and the ghoul has off-screen made a deal with Lucy's dad to bring her back to the vault.
so fucked up.
And yeah.
Although fuck Lucy
um,
though, I don't like her.
you don't like Lucy? Okay, fair.
El-
I
El-
think
Ella Purnell does a
yeah.
great
Go ahead.
job, but there's only for so long you can convince me that she's just naive before it gets grating. First season, it was very charming, and I'm like, I could just see this is how a vault dweller would be. They come out, they've lived in this perfect little world for however many years. They come out and see this brutal, savage land. Been there, done that. Went from the United States to Afghanistan, and I was just like, what? I could kind of see myself like, trying to adjust to this, and she is too. But here we are in season two, and it's the same shit she's been doing unless she's under the influence of drugs. That doesn't count. Her core character is still doing the same shit that she was doing back in episode one of season one.
Yeah, well, I guess we see a little bit of a change here because she robs that guy before. Yeah, I agree with you. I am in agreement. I think in this episode they try to do a little bit more edgy with her because she kills a guy and robs the store before she knows who the guy even is.
Hmm.
So I think there was some like in this episode specifically. But you're right. I find her very grating. I don't find her that interesting. I think actually the biggest hang up I have this season with her character is the relationship she has with the ghoul.
Hmm.
So, like you can kind of see what they were trying to do with it, where it's like, okay, they're polar opposites. He's the grizzled detective, she's the upbeat, like do it by the book character, very cliche, good cop, bad cop kind of thing. And they just haven't developed that relationship nearly enough. They spent a lot of it apart, and I just haven't felt like they've become friends. There's this real emphasis that like Lucy says, "Oh, I thought we were just starting to like each other," and he's like, "Yeah, we were." And I was like, "When? Like, when did you guys be?"
Well, the thing that cracked me up is that the whole rat scorpion thing there in the hospital. And I know, yeah, I've been around plenty of people that I don't like, but I also understand survival, right? And I understand having to depend on someone you may or may not like. But if they're the best option that you have, not only to guarantee your own, but to guarantee theirs as well, that's the option you take. And I thought it was just wild how she finds this random woman in the hospital and her friend who's been traveling with her for God knows how long across this barren wasteland. And she's like, "Yeah, I'll come back and get you later." And then takes this random woman she just met 3 seconds ago back to this camp. And I'm like, does the ghoul really not mean shit to you at all?
Yeah, I did that. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like the fact that they're like, "Oh, I thought we were just starting to like each other." You left him at the beginning of this season, and you've
To
been apart
die.
for most of it. Yeah, yeah. Like, but for honestly, most of the time, they've just been separated, and there hasn't been. Yeah, I just haven't felt like their relationships like improved all that much. Like, I guess because like the ghoul just ends up saving her anyway. Like, there's no like I think there's a lot of lack of consequence with their character. Like in
Yep.
season one, she gets her finger cut off and then she gets a new one. And then in this season, she becomes addicted to drugs and then just gets a cure all for that. Like, what the fuck? And then also, with the whole Legion thing, she can betray the ghoul, get taken out by the Legion, gets crucified, and then he comes in to save her, and there's no, boo about it. She's fine.
Uh-huh.
It's
Uh,
just constantly getting, rescued, and then just no consequences for a character at all.
yeah. I mean, Ella Purnell does a great
Yeah.
job, and I mean, she's nice to look at and all of this. I guess I don't get people's fascination with her, but yeah, it's just kind of like how stupid are we going to continue to be here? I understand being happy go lucky and everything's unicorns and rainbows, but come the fuck, nobody's just damn dumb.
Yeah, well, we're going back. Everybody's retarded. That's
Yep.
just the whole like that's the catchphrase for the show. Well, how also, what about her relationship with Maximus? Has she brought him up once? Like, has she
No, not one
talked
damn
about him at
time.
all? No, I don't think she has, right? There's no moment where she's like, "I miss it," and there's actually like no emotional difference between her in this season and her in season one. Like, honestly, if you popped in this season and like dropped into this episode, you wouldn't even have known she had lost anybody or was missing anyone. Like, she's just like chipper and normal the entire time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and yeah, I find this whole interaction really like weightless because the ghoul betrays her here, and I just did not care. It was like, yeah, okay, that seems
Well,
right.
well, I mean, it actually, I mean, regardless of way they look at the story or whatever, it actually makes sense. Like, I know they're trying to frame it in a way like, wow, he betrayed her. Not really. Like, let's be honest here. He's known her for what, a month? He's been looking for
Yeah,
his
yeah,
family for 200 years. I actually understand exactly why he did this. Like,
yeah. No,
what?
it's not even a
And as a
question,
matter of
really.
fact, fuck her. She just left him for dead back at the hospital a couple episodes ago. Who gives a shit
Yeah,
about her?
exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's it. That's exactly it. Yes, exactly. Why do we care? Let's not. Again, they try to play it up like, he's really upset about it. He's drinking. He looks even a little teary eyed. It's like, what the fuck? Like, when did this humanity come out with her? Like, he seemed to be the same piece of shit the entire time, and she seemed to be the same, go lucky, wide eyed girl the entire time. Neither of them have changed and grown together.
Well,
Yet
they
we're,
have to be careful. They have to be careful because, I mean, I know she just said he was a piece of shit. I do not view him as a piece of shit. I view him as a person that, has to do what he needs to in this world. I mean, we've all been in a Fallout game. We've been there. We've done that. We understand that. And I think as far as being a player, he is the character that a player would most closely resemble. I can't think of a single fucking YouTube playthrough I've ever seen where someone acts like Lucy. It doesn't happen. So, but the show has to be very careful here by painting him in a bad light, because there's a difference between doing what needs to be done in order to survive. And of course, you've been looking for your family for 200 years. That's admirable. I get it. And then making him look bad in order to make Lucy look good. Because if you start making his character look too much like shit, you're going to piss off the fan base because he's easily the most liked character.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, yeah, they have done. He saves her from the Legion, and he helped out the NCR, I guess. So he's not all bad. You're totally right. He's a
Hmm.
good person down deep. He's just he's well, yeah. Again, they're trying to get it to be like Lucy's rubbing off on him, but I don't think she really is because again,
No.
they don't really seem to have any dynamic. I think there's a complete disconnect with the writing and what they're trying to establish now in this scene. So yeah,
Well, and she can't rub off on him. He was a good person before all this went down. I would say he was in Fallout terms, he had good karma. In the flashback sequences and stuff like that, we can tell he has a big problem with all of this. It's not even really rubbing off on him. Like, he is a good person underneath all of that. He's just like us, the player. We have to adapt to what we're fucking playing through.
Yeah, well, again, I can see where they're trying to go with it. I just think they really failed to follow
Yeah,
through with
we
any
need to calm
idea
down.
because
That's all I'm saying.
it's hollow. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's pretty hollow. But I think that's the end of the episode. I mean, the new episode will be out very soon. Do you have any other final thoughts?
No, I mean, like I said, we had disagreements and stuff like that here. I'm not as big on the lore, and I'm big on groundbreaking things, like them not putting certain things in a certain place, or a certain faction not being there, or this, that, and the other. For cinematic reasons, I can kind of let a little bit of that go. But I am very, very concerned over them trying to paint that Americans, not the U.S. government. Well, I guess you could say the Enclave was a branch of the U.S. government, actually, but that Americans were the first to start the war. Were the first ones to drop the bombs. That is going to be a big fucking deal. I have a feeling.
Yeah, I mean that's what they're leading to. It's going to be the Enclave. Well, I think I texted you this. It's going to be the Enclave drops the bombs because of some weird capitalists. We're going to make a utopia. Blah blah blah. Like bullshit thing. It's not going to make any sense.
Yeah, I hope that's not the
Yeah.
case because then but the big reason why I've defended this show thus far is that there's been some stuff in the background. Like you don't think, for instance, I see that two women are leading the vaults. They're the leaders. I know they're still putting women in leadership positions, but a lot of that stuff is in the background. The show isn't overly political. They take little jabs here and there, but for the most part, they keep it centric on the characters and the action. I think if they do this whole enclave, et cetera thing, and we go full blown commie, then the show's going to be in trouble because
Oh,
then yeah,
I have to. I don't want to interrupt you. I just have to disagree that the political side they might not have the same kind of feminist rhetoric that you would see in a show like I don't know what's a good comparison like The Last of Us.
hmm
But they do the communist capitalist thing is very heavy-handed and it's not subtle at all. It's very like I don't know, maybe go back and check out season 1 again. But
I
like,
did.
dude, yeah, did you? Yeah, yeah. Well, I
Yeah,
mean, it's fucking the whole the communism thing, man. They're so like in your face about it. Like especially with the flashbacks with Cooper Howard. They're just
we
really
we
rubbing it in.
rewatched the whole first season before we went to Halloween Horror Nights because which by the way
Oh yeah, that's right.
for the folks that are I've shown this bottle a couple times in case you guys haven't tried Jones Soda. They had the Sunset Sarsaparilla, and I got like quite a few bottles of it, so that's what I've been drinking on. But yeah, we rewatched season 1, and I just don't, like I said, I think it's in the background enough, or at least by comparison to everything else that's going on.
Mhm.
They may be heavy-handed with it, but the action and the characterizations are still more prominent. Whereas in The Last of Us, the characters absolutely sucked. There was nothing else to focus on besides all the political bullshit.
Yeah, yeah, that's true.
So
That's
this should
true.
at least give it the benefit of the doubt that there is stuff. I'll say that, but I think it's outweighed a little bit. But I think if they do this whole enclave crap and say no, it was communism, capital. That's what started the whole drop in the nuke thing. Except the capitalists did it or whatever the fuck. That's gonna no. Yeah, there may not be a season. Well, I think it's been renewed for season 3. There won't be a season 4.
Yeah, well, I mean, the viewer numbers are dropping, so we'll see how they do at the end of the season.
That's a
I
little context. Context. They're releasing it
uh,
one episode per week though. If I'm not mistaken, season 1 was all dropped as a whole.
oh, that's right. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. Yeah. Well, we'll have to see. I mean, we have many episodes to go still. I think there's 3 left. So, yeah, it was fun to have a friendly little debate there. We haven't we've this is the first time we've had a disagreement really on interpretation stuff. Usually we're pretty aligned. So, yeah, that was good. I like that.
Yeah, I look at things through kind of through a different lens when it comes down to that because being a big guy myself, and that's kind of like a weird comparison to do, but being a big guy myself, I never throw myself in front of people. I never stand up. I never express power, strength, height, whatever the fuck, because I know I have it. So kind of seeing the way Justin Thoreau framed Mr. House, I kind of understood it, but I also understand that like that's not what you like. That's not what you saw in the game. So I think we came to the same agreement just from different perspectives.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm interested to see what people say in the comments. We'll see. I don't know what our viewer base is like when it comes to Fallout, so we'll have to see. Maybe people will like it. Maybe people won't like it. I'm curious
Well,
what
there's one
everyone's
thing
gonna
that's
say.
certain though.
Mm.
We're both fucking tourists.
That's true.
Golly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If you guys are still listening and you want to for us to cover anything or you have any ideas for a video or you want to hear us comment about something, please let us know down in the comment section. We would love to hear your thoughts on the show, on our podcast, and anything else. So yeah, we'll see you soon with another episode of the Fallout show. We'll do another review.
Yeah, and yeah, make sure you comment. We're reading them. We'll respond to them, and we'll say them live. Here on the show. I mean, you can put down "boo boo kitty fuck." Don't say I won't say it out loud. I will. I just did, but I'll say whatever you want me to say. And apparently, my AI generated voice.
Yeah.
Yeah, we appreciate everybody for tuning in. I'm Toller Talks, obviously on YouTube, and then you're watching this on Generations Offended's channel, so you know where he's at.
Yeah. And yeah, we'll check you. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Take care.